Switching to a paper journal is one of the best decisions I've ever made. With this journal, I am more creative, more productive, less stressed, and less distracted. So in this video, I want to explain why I use a paper journal and walk you through exactly how I have this set up with a personal journal, all of my YouTube video outlines, photo projects, and my version of a bullet journal for productivity. Let's start with the why. There's a bunch of research and statistics about writing and how it helps you remember things, how journaling is good for your brain and your stress levels. Really, for me, the biggest factor is that it just gets me away from screens for a while. I'm always looking at the screens of my camera and my computer, and all of my work is on a screen. And so anytime that I can get away and brainstorm and think away from screens, that's time that I really appreciate. So I like handwriting in my journal. I love the analog feeling of pen on paper, and being away from those screens makes it a lot easier not to get distracted by Instagram or checking my stats on my latest YouTube video or just looking up something that comes into mind. If there's something that I think of that I need to look up later, I can jot it down in the journal and just focus on looking that up and not jumping around from all these different windows, all these different tasks on my computer. So before we get into exactly how this journal is set up, I want to talk about this one. This is like my little on-the-go journal. If I'm going to a friend's house or I'm out running errands or something like that, and I'm not going to have time to actually sit down and get some work done in the big journal, I carry this one with me. So this one is pretty much always in my pocket. It's about the size of my phone. So these two just kind of live together and they'll just go in my pocket together. And in this one, it's sort of like throwaway notes. Typically when I'm done with these, there's not much that I need in here, and so they just go in the trash. This thing is full of to-do lists, shopping lists. If I have random ideas when I'm out and about, I'll put them in here, but then later they get transferred into the big notebook. And like I said, this is just disposable. It's just a way of kind of keeping notes without pulling out my phone and the notes app. For a while, I wanted a notebook, kind of my main notebook that I could carry everywhere. And so I got this, I believe this is like an A6 size. It's the same brand as my big notebook, but obviously quite a bit smaller. But I didn't really like this in-between size. When I was really sitting down to work and brainstorm, I ended up blowing through multiple pages, and it was still bigger than the field notes, so it was kind of bulky in my pocket, and there were places it wouldn't fit. So once I finished this notebook, I just moved back to the two notebook setup, on the go, and then my main bigger work notebook. All right, let's talk about the big notebook. Obviously much bigger than the pocket size, way more pages. So these notebooks take a lot longer to get through, and the stuff that's in here is important. These aren't disposable. So when I finish a notebook, I have the start date that I started the notebook, I have the finish date, and then they get archived. I've tried a lot of different notebook brands, and I really love these. This is a Midori MD notebook. They're from Japan. I will link to this notebook and any of the other accessory stuff that I talk about down in the description. But let's go through exactly how I have this thing set up. The front cover page just has a space to write your start and end date for archiving. And then after that, I set aside 3 or 4 pages for a table of contents. And these notebooks come completely blank, so you have to add the little numbers down in the bottom corner. And I'll just number the pages as I go, normally doing 20 or 30 at a time. And then in this table of contents, I can put my page number and whatever it is on that page that I'm working on. And then after those first few pages set aside for the table of contents, I'll start numbering the pages. And you can really start it wherever you want. In this one, I just happen to start with a personal journal. And for my personal journal, I always do the date and the location that I'm writing in. And as I travel, it's kind of cool to see these journal entries from different places. And normally for the personal journal, I'll set aside maybe 10 pages or so, just so they're not scattered everywhere throughout the notebook. I have chunks of journaling that cover a good date range. For outlining my YouTube videos, I just do YT and whatever the video, the working title is. This is my outline for this journal video. And I just have the bullet points I want to talk about and any other things that I don't want to forget to talk about in the video. Lists are pretty self-explanatory. I just set aside a page, title it books I want to read, movies I want to watch, and put that in the table of contents, and then I just add to that list, and I can cross them off once I read the book or watch that movie. So the journaling, the brainstorming, all of that stuff done on paper really helps my creativity, helps save me from distractions. Let's get into the productivity stuff that I talked about. I've tried the standard bullet journal method and it just didn't work for me. I've tried a lot of different productivity, journaling, scheduling sort of things, and some of them are way too detailed, some of them aren't detailed enough, and so I have my own setup that's kind of a mix of everything I've learned over the years. So I'll walk you through exactly how I set that up now, and you can copy me, you can tweak it to fit you a little bit better. So it starts with 2 pages side by side. Similar to a bullet journal, I just have the month up here, November, and then I have 1 through 30 all the way down the page, and I have the little day next to the date. And then in here, it's a rough calendar. A lot of my calendar stuff is stored on my phone calendar just so I get alerts and it's synced between my computer and a lot of my business stuff. But in here, I'll just put holidays, travel plans, certain shoots. Like I said, this isn't my main calendar, but when I have a meeting with a client or something like that and I'm taking notes in my notebook, I can easily flip to this calendar to see if a date is clear. And then next to the calendar page, there's this master to-do list. And a lot of the stuff that goes up here is not time sensitive. It's just stuff that I want to remember to get to eventually. If I'm working and I think of something that doesn't need to be done right away, I jot it down in here just so I'm not distracted from work, I'm not switching tasks. And then if there's stuff that's kind of time sensitive, they go down into this weekly section. And I just have week 1, week 2, 3, 4, and they're not perfect 7-day weeks. They're just this calendar kind of broken up into chunks that make sense. Normally Sunday to Sunday. And if there's a couple leftover days at the end of the month, I'll just bunch them into week 4. So if there are things I need to get done, or if I think of something that I need to do, don't need to do it now, but I really want to get it done next week, throw it into the right week. The next page is my habit tracker. Just says habits up here. And then same thing, the numbered dates and days all the way down. And then these are the habits that I want to do. And I just fill in the box as I go. I was sick these days, didn't really do any of my exercise or my work or YouTube stuff. I was able to read the whole time. So tracker's not looking great for this month, but it is what it is. And then next to the habit page, we have this daily tasks page. And it's just the date and 1 or 2 tasks that I want to do that day. And that's one of my productivity tips. I used to, in my bullet journal, have a long list of tasks and to-dos, and they would just kind of keep getting moved day to day to day. And so I really just started focusing on one thing. Like, what is the one thing that I can do that day that would help move things forward? And I try to plan that the night before. I'll write out the next day's date and the one task that I want to get done. And it's a lot easier the night before to say like, oh yeah, I'll get that done, where I wake up the next morning, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to do it. But if that's my one thing, that's the one thing I need to get done. If I finish it, I can go to that master to-do list and pick something else I want to do. But just focusing on 1 or 2 tasks for the day has really helped me get through a bigger to-do list instead of moving that list day to day and just picking the easiest things and not actually doing the stuff that's really important. And it's kind of cool to look at this daily task thing and just see like things that you have gotten done day after day after day, where if a lot of these were in one big to-do list, I'd probably skip some of the harder ones and do the easier stuff. So that's really been helping me lately. And there's actually a couple books that pushed me towards this way of thinking, this sort of like minimizing what I need to do. There's a book called The One Thing that really helped me focus on what is the one most important task that's actually going to move my business or my life or my fitness forward. That's what I need to focus on as that one daily task. And then the other book that really helped was The 12-Week Year. So I really recommend both of those. The One Thing, 12-Week Year. Pretty awesome productivity and planning and goal setting books. All right, that's it for the big notebook setup. Pretty simple, but effective. I want to talk about some of the accessory stuff that I use with these notebooks. With the field notes, no accessories. I just clip the pen right on there. For ballpoint pens, these are my favorite. This is the Uniball Signo .38. So they're super, super fine and the ink dries really fast. I'm a lefty, and if I don't have thin, fast-drying ink, my palm will smear the ink as I write. If it's really hot out, my hands are kind of sweaty, they will still re-wet this ink and get smearing. So it's not a perfect solution, but these are the best ballpoints I've found. For my main pen that I keep with the big journal, I've been using this TWSBI fountain pen. Really loving this pen lately. This is an extra fine tip, and I found some good ink. I believe it's carbon black that dries really fast and is waterproof. So if my hand rubs over it, even if I'm a little sweaty or my hands are damp, I don't know why my hands would be damp, but that ink does not smear no matter what I do. So really been liking that setup. Again, like I said, I will link to all this stuff down in the description. I already talked about my favorite notebook, these Midori MD. This is a small one, not the bigger journal, but made in Japan, super cool paper, works great with the fountain pens, ballpoint pens. Pretty cool, like simple design. You can see the binding and everything here. And then I also have their paper cover. This is like a really thick cardstock that's actually reusable. I crumpled it up just to give it a little bit of texture. But once you finish a notebook, you can take it out of here and put this on your new notebook. And it's a pretty cool paper cover. They also make a leather cover, but it's like $140 or something. These paper ones are like $10, so I just use those. And then on the big journal, same thing, paper cover, crinkled it, looks kind of textured. And then I just have this little elastic pen holder that slips over the front cover, and my fountain pen fits perfectly in it. Boom. And that is my on-the-go working journal. All right, guys, I think that covers everything. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and look in the description for links to the notebooks and all the accessory stuff I use. If you want to stay up to date on things going on in my business and get occasional updates when I upload new videos, sign up for my email list. That link is also in the description. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.